top for the video last week. I really like this top and I think I've maybe worn it for 3 or 4 videos now. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about what to look for when you're buying your first aerial hoop or a second aerial hoop or any aerial hoop. But mainly this is going to be aimed at if you're not sure what to get, if it's the first time you're buying something for yourself, if you're maybe not sure what your studio uses and you want to find something similar. These are sort of basic guidelines just to know what you're shopping for and what you're seeing when you're looking on aerial equipment website or getting one made. I know it can be a little bit daunting because there are a lot of options out there and they do all behave very differently in the air, especially as you start to do more and more advanced and intermediate tricks. The higher level you get to with your hoop, the more difference the exact type of hoop you have is going to make. And in fact, I know a lot of professionals who will only have custom-made hoops. I have a custom-made hoop, but I also have the type of hoop that just comes as is off of a website, and I have a custom-made moon, and I also teach using hoops that are made in bulk and are ordered from a website as well. So I have kind of a feel for what the different options are like. Today, let's just go through them all. Let's talk about what you should look for. Whatever your skill set is, whether you're more of a flexible person, more of a strong person, more of a dynamic person, more of a choreography and interesting movement kind of person, that's going to need to be complemented by your hoop to get the best sort of marriage between the two of them. So let's talk about some different options. First, I want to introduce you to my hoop. You've probably seen her in some videos. Her name is Baby. This was my first hoop. This one is custom made, but it's not a very unusual type. So first off, you need to know about your points. Points are these little tabs. They can also be called tabs. This is a double point hoop, so I have 2 of them. But if you have a single point hoop with a tab, it's just going to be one single right in the middle of the top bar of your hoop. You can also get hoops that have no points. So you're just looking at a unmarked circle of metal. Those are really great if you're going to be changing a lot. My other hoop, whose name is Olga, and who I forgot to bring back from training today, so she's not here, she's at the training studio. She is a no point tabless hoop. So you can choose what you want if you want tabless, single tab, or double tab. Single tab is sort of the standard. That's when you go into most aerial studios, they will have single tabbed hoops. Single tab is very, very useful if you're doing moves on the top bar, if you're doing moves with the span set especially. That single span set setup is going to actually give you a lot of options for different moves that you'll either have to adjust or just kind of don't work with the double tab. A double tab hoop like this one is great because where a single tab hoop, if you have one single point of attachment in the middle, it goes side to side with your weight as you're using it. But a double tab hoop stays much more strong and immobile, and it's not going to shift around so much while you're in the air. That can be really great if you are starting out and you want to feel a little bit more stable. Generally, double tab hoops are used more for dynamic moves, moves with drops, moves with a lot of rolls, moves where you want the hoop to feel very sturdy and not move around too much. They're also used for moves where you're doing sort of extreme contortion. So if you really need to be able to push against the hoop to push yourself into a very, very bendy pose, a double tab hoop is going to be easier and more sturdy for you to push into a bendy pose. That's why my first hoop, Baby, was a double tabbed hoop because she is easier for me to do my contortion moves on, and that was the first sort of strength that I was trying to showcase when I started doing professional performances. A double tab hoop also gives you this space on the top between your 2 span sets. That can be really nice because there are some specific moves. For instance, there's a foot hang that I really love to do. If you want to do the moves that go in this space, you need a double tab. If you want to do some of the moves where you're playing with how the hoop sits in the air and you're shifting your weight side to side, or if you're getting on the span set right here in the middle, then you're going to need a single tab. And if you want to do both and just try everything, go for a tabless hoop. Use your span sets to create single or double tab. But also just be prepared that you're going to have to, fiddle with it a little bit more. If you have a tabbed hoop, you're going to need one of these little guys. This is a Shackle. You can get them at a hardware store, but it's better and more reliable to get them off of an aerial equipment selling website or from a shop that sells aerial equipment, because then you know they are properly weight tested. You can get the weight testing measurements on the side of it here. They usually write them along the side. But if you're getting one from an aerial supplier, then you know that it's going to have the proper weight bearing load. You just take your shackle, put the edge of your strap through it, put it around the tab, and then you screw the screw in to close it as far as you can, and then you're all connected. If you have a no point hoop or a single point hoop that you're trying to make a double point hoop, you can also just put your span set back through itself, tighten it up, and hook it on like this. You can also use some tape to tape it in place, or put a little tape on either side of it just so it won't slide back and forth too much. Your other really common sort of span set equipment is a rope like this one. And again, there'll be a little loop in the end of the rope if you've gotten it from a good aerial supplier. Put your shackle through it and put it all together. There's only one side of the shackle you can screw into, so you do have to try to find which side is the correct side. If you are interested in aerial equipment and what you should buy to go with your hoop, I already did a video on that, which is linked at the top of your screen right now and is also in the description. It tells you how to tape your hoop, how to buy all of your equipment, and how to assemble all of this rigging that goes on the top of the hoop. Another big factor in choosing your hoop is weight. Baby here is pretty light. I haven't weighed her, I don't know exactly how much she weighs, but I can very easily walk down the street for long distances with her on my shoulder like this. My other hoop, Olga, is solid. That means that she's much heavier because she's solid metal all the way through instead of hollow like this one. And that does make her much more difficult to transport. However, the real difference in the air is that a heavier solid hoop is going to hold your spin for longer. A hollow hoop is going to lose your spin a bit faster because you just don't have the centrifugal force and momentum that you do with the extra weight. If you are doing a lot of one-off gigs like I do, maybe a hollow hoop is right for you because you're gonna have to transport it to and from gigs, to and from different training spaces. But if you are doing a longer term contract, or if you're able to leave your hoop at your training space and just pick it up every day when you come in, then maybe a solid hoop is a better choice for you because it is nice to have that continued easy spin. Let's talk about hoop sizes. There's two things you need to think about when you're thinking about the sizing of your hoop. The first is the inner diameter, so from the bottom bar to the top bar, the inside measurement. And the second is the thickness of the bar. A great way to know what size is right for you is to sit in a chair, get out your tape measure, and you're going to measure from the seat of the chair to the top of your head. So I'm doing myself, and I've got about 86 centimeters. Then add 10 centimeters onto that. So 86 plus 10 is 96 centimeters. And that's roughly a size of hoop that will be about good for me. Everyone's a little bit different, so you're probably gonna have to round up or round down to get to the nearest available size of hoop. Let's see how big baby is. I don't know how big she is, I've forgotten. So baby is 95 centimeters. So she's just about right for me. She is a little bit on the small side. My other hoop, Olga, that's not here, is 100 centimeters. So if I have a move or routine that I know I'm gonna need more space, I'm gonna be doing something inside the hoop or I don't wanna look squished, then I'll switch over and use my 100 centimeter hoop instead of my 95. If in doubt, I would say generally go for a slightly smaller hoop, just because when you're doing things like a knee hang hocks from the top, and you want to get, for instance, your shoulder or your chest onto the bottom bar, it's nicer to be a little bit squished than it is to have to drop down to the bottom bar. So I prefer a slightly smaller hoop. However, as long as you're not getting something insane like 80 centimeters or 140, you're probably going to be able to do every move on your hoop. I'm not saying it's impossible that the size of your hoop is going to stop you from doing a move if it's in that sort of average hoop range, but it is super unlikely. Most hoops have about a 25 millimeter not circumference. I'm trying to use math words and it's not working out for me. This thickness, we'll say thickness of the bar is about 25 millimeters. You can get bigger hoops that are about 35 millimeters, so slightly wider around. And that's great if you are used to doing, for instance, pole. If you are used to having something a bit thicker to hold, then that can feel very comfortable to you. It's also going to bruise you less. The bigger your thickness of your bar is, the less bruisey it's going to be on you. I mean, obviously it's a metal hoop that you're slamming your body into, so you're going to get bruised. But a wider hoop is going to be slightly easier with the bruises. You can also get hoops that are slightly more narrow than this. I have a friend who has one that I think is less than 20 millimeters. A very thin hoop is going to be very easy to hold onto with your hand, but again, it's going to make bruising slightly worse because you have a thinner piece of metal that your whole body weight is hanging from. I feel like this 25 millimeters is a great compromise between the two. Another important choice is whether you want it taped or untaped. Most hoops come untaped if you order them directly from a manufacturer. Of course, you can always buy your own tape and tape an untaped hoop. You also have the option of what's called a powder coated finish, which is not tape, but it's also not raw metal. It's sort of a in-between option. I like taped because I want to have the security of really feeling my grip, feeling the friction. Also, I do a lot of things like ankle hangs, foot hangs, heel hangs, things where I want to have that friction to really feel secure if I'm hanging by my heels, for example. That does have a downside because it is very easy to get really gnarly skin burns from the tape. It's a matter of getting used to it and also knowing where you need to be covered on your body to protect it from the friction of the tape. But again, I'm going to feel much more confident with my grip and with the friction holding me onto the hoop in a lot of the more dynamic extreme moves that I do. If you have a powder coated hoop or a tapeless bare metal hoop, you're going to avoid a lot of those burns, but it is a little harder to grip and it's going to be a lot harder to do like neck hang, heel hang, foot hang kind of moves. I never do a heel hang or a neck hang on a tapeless hoop because even if it feels okay, even if it happens, it's just a bit more risky. It's also going to be nicer on your hands if you don't have the tape. The tape can really give you the super fun calluses and it can hurt your hands if you're not used to it. So you might, by the end of class or by the end of your training, feel quite raw and burny in your hands. You will get used to it. I can do 4 hours of training now without even feeling my hands on the tape. But it just takes a while. It just takes experience and time. The raw metal or the powder coated hoops are going to be much, much, much nicer on your hands. They're still going to hurt. It's hoop. That's what it is. But they're going to be much nicer. You can also do a lot of fun variations on hoops. They have some where the space between your double points is flat like a trapeze. So if you have a trapeze background, that can be really fun for you. There's now the mini hoop, which I want so badly. I want a mini hoop so badly, you guys. It's basically just a little hoop that's like this big. They're just so cute. I just really like them. I feel like a giant, even more than usual. Anyway, you can also get the aerial moon. Aerial moons are becoming super popular. I have one that I get requested to do gigs with it quite a lot because it's something a little bit different. However, with all these variations, I would not recommend them for your first hoop. They're super fun once you are very confident and you have a lot of moves that you're able to figure out how to change them for an unusual hoop. But when you're just starting out, I really think it's best to have a basic hoop. I would go for the basic first, definitely. I thought I would just leave you guys with an aerial video to make up for how talky this video was. So here's a fun aerial video to finish off. I hope that you learned what to look for in an aerial hoop when you're buying and have a little bit more idea what your options are. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments here or through an Instagram message. My Instagram is in the description of this video. And before we go, I'm going to remind you just to please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Plus, there are lots and lots of aerial tutorials and other sorts of aerial videos over there, and I take requests for videos, so let me know if you have a request. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Nope. I've lost it. I've lost my thought.